All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking exactly how to measure and report workplace safety in the agricultural products industry, specifically looking through the lens of the SASB standards. Whether you're an industry pro, an analyst, or honestly just curious about how massive global operations keep their people safe, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to break down the math, the strict definitions, and the core strategy behind these absolute must-know metrics. To get us started, we're grounding our entire conversation in the official SASB standards, specifically the food and beverage sector's agricultural product standard. Basically, this ensures our metrics align perfectly with global expectations. You know, these aren't just arbitrary, made-up numbers. This is the definitive, go-to framework that major companies use to disclose their safety data to the world. Here's our roadmap for a day. We'll start with the high stakes in agricultural safety, move into the 3 core safety metrics, and then define exactly what makes a recordable incident. After that, we'll unpack the actual rate calculation, distinguish between direct versus contract employees, and wrap up with the real value of safety data.
So, moving into our first section, high stakes in agricultural safety.
Look, the agricultural industry presents some seriously intense occupational hazards. I mean, employees are often doing heavy, labor-intensive activities. We're talking exposure to extreme heat, transportation accidents, falls, and of course, incidents involving massive processing equipment. And it's not just a human risk, though that's huge. It's a massive business risk, too. Failing to manage these hazards doesn't just result in a slap on the wrist or regulatory fines. It fundamentally signals a weak workplace safety culture. And high injury rates, they can completely wreck a brand's reputation and bottom line.
Moving on to Section 2, the 3 core safety metrics. Now that we know what's at risk, it's important to understand that you absolutely must report these 3 specific data points to give stakeholders a crystal clear view of your safety landscape: total recordable incident rate, fatality rate, and near-miss frequency rate. Let's look at what each of these actually measures. First up, TIR, or total recordable incident rate. This is your big picture. It tracks significant work-related injuries and illnesses that actually disrupt normal life or operations. So if an employee has to take days away from work, transfer to a different job temporarily, or needs medical treatment that goes way beyond a standard first aid kit, yep, it gets captured right here in the TIR.
Second is the fatality rate, which, as you'd guess, tracks the most severe and tragic workplace outcomes. Obviously, every single organization aims for this number to be absolute zero, but tracking and reporting it is a mandatory, sobering requirement of the standard.
Then we have the near-miss frequency rate, or NMFR. Think of this as your proactive indicator. A near miss is essentially an event where, honestly, you just got incredibly lucky. Picture a heavy crate falling and missing a worker by an inch. Nobody got hurt, nothing broke, but the hazard was very, very real. Tracking near misses lets a company fix those dangerous situations before they turn into a TIR or a fatality.
All right, on to Section 3, defining a recordable incident. This is a super common area of confusion, so let's draw a clear line. On one hand, you have simple first aid, cleaning a minor scrape, slapping on a bandage. That's just emergency care provided before regular medical aid, and it is not a recordable incident. But on the flip side, if the injury requires treatment beyond that basic first aid, or if a licensed physician actually diagnoses a significant injury or illness, boom, that absolutely crosses the line and becomes a recordable incident that you have to log. Plus, we've got to define what work-related actually means in the first place. An incident is only counted if it happens in the work environment or involves equipment used for the job. Interestingly, it even includes incidents that happen while traveling, as long as that travel is strictly for the employer. Oh, and one more thing. It has to be a completely new case. You can't just log an update or a complication from an injury you already recorded last year. Let's hit Section 4, unpacking the rate calculation. Okay, time to demystify how you actually calculate these rates for your reports. I promise it's way simpler than it looks. It all revolves around a specific formula, and this magic number, 200,000. So where does that even come from?
Well, 200,000 isn't arbitrary at all. It literally represents the annual hours worked by exactly 100 full-time employees. Think about it. 100 workers times 40 hours a week times 50 weeks a year. That gives us 200,000. Using this constant creates a standardized baseline, letting us do an apples-to-apples comparison between a massive agricultural plant with 5,000 employees and a highly specialized mill with just 50.
So here's how the actual math plays out. You take your statistic count, like your total number of recordable injuries,
multiply it by that magic 200,000 baseline, and then divide the whole thing by the actual total hours worked by your entire workforce that year. And you do this exact same calculation for fatalities and again for near misses. Easy, right?
Which brings us to Section 5, direct versus contract employees.
Accurately applying that formula means knowing exactly who goes into your data pool, and the SASB standard makes a really critical distinction here. Direct employees are individuals directly on your official payroll: executives, hourly line workers, seasonal migrant labor, you name it. Contract employees, on the other hand, are people not on your payroll, maybe hired through a temp agency or a labor broker, but whom your entity directly manages or supervises on site day to day.
And here's the catch. You cannot just lump everyone together into one giant number. The standard explicitly requires you to calculate and report the TIR, the fatality rate, and the NMFR separately for your direct payroll staff, and then do the whole shebang again for your managed contract workers. This dual reporting is totally crucial because it ensures companies can't hide poor safety practices among contracted labor pools. Transparency is absolutely key here.
Finally, Section 6, the value of safety data.
Let's look at why diligently tracking all this actually transforms your business, because it is about so much more than just compliance. Beyond avoiding regulatory fines, strong safety metrics actively power a healthy business. Think about it. When workers know they're safe, morale skyrockets, which directly boosts productivity. You're also slashing the massive costs associated with worker turnover and retraining. And out in the broader market, a stellar safety record builds a brand that consumers actually want to support. Plus, it fosters incredible goodwill with the local communities where you operate.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. When you look past the math, the definitions, and that 200,000 baseline, what is your safety data truly revealing about how your organization values human life? The metrics at the end of the day are just a mirror. It's up to you to decide what kind of culture you want that mirror to reflect. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and keep learning.